Well, hello and welcome, Phillipe, to the Archetype Akasha for sharing your wisdom with the 54. And it's in your evolution sphere. And the last time you were here, we were talking about your 53, which both are in your incarnation cross. So I feel a lot of relating in the story you're about to share. And then when people go back or go forth to your 53 and then weaving it together, we kind of get that whole story, I feel, almost of your, it's your incarnation cross of cycles, right? So of course, there are two other parts of it, but I feel these two, are very important for now, even the times that we are living in and the things that are changing in the world. And also about materialism, because that's what the 54, it is the fuel to get the material things that you need and that you want. And then Richard, I listened to Richard's audio, and then he shared that the greed comes from the lack of anything, relationships, love, material, but it's a deep inner need and want for the ego. And when you start seeing the pattern, it makes you aware of it, and then you dive inside of you, and that's where the aspiration can be found. So I shared just before that I had written down a lot, and now this comes out. So
no, that's great.
I don't know where you would like to start, because you have a 6th line also.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the visionary. So, and I feel you have so much experience, and I don't even know where to start. So anywhere you would like to start with all this?
Well, it's interesting because I always, when I started talking about this one, for me, I always started my childhood, because when I was 6 years old or 7 years old, my parents moved from a small town in New Mexico to Manhattan, to New York City, because my dad wanted to become a big theater actor. And he was invited by his connection with a soon to be famous theater actor named James Earl Jones. And it just happened by chance, and it was one of those things. And within a year and a half, I was acting on Broadway when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And I was not only acting on Broadway, but I was playing the King of Egypt, Child King, brother of Cleopatra, in a musical version of Caesar and Cleopatra. Anyway, those kind of things kept happening when I was a child. Like I was climbing the ladder. I was like aspiring, and I was aspiring. I remember being a kid in New Mexico going, I want to move to a big city. Like I knew that from the time I was a little kid that this was no place for me, this small town, you know. And my family were like the avenue to take me there.
Wow.
So I watched my parents' aspirations. My mother was also a performer, a singer, actress, and they both had their aspirations really they did not do well. My mother gave up very early. My father just struggled and struggled and struggled. And I was succeeding, and my sister was succeeding as well. But it was not like I quit show business like 6 times because it was not satisfying, because something about it wasn't right. And my 6th line, I already saw, even as a little kid, I was like, these famous people are really miserable, or these people, these famous people are really corrupt, or those kind of things, like rich people, successful people. It cast a lot of doubt on me really early in me about what success was and what gathering material goods did for you. And it didn't do anything for me. So the way I relate to the greed shadow is it was pushed down, because I was like the last thing. I was like an ascetic monk, even as a teenager. I didn't have anything. Like I always liked clothes. That's the only thing. Not sure what that's about in terms of my gene keys, but so there was a little bit of things about status, I guess, and how I looked, but I never was striving for success. Like I just dumbed myself down in a way, in avoidance, I think, of greed, because I saw it so much everywhere, that I kind of just said no to it. But then what I did was I lived in kind of poverty for a long time, and off and on. And then when I was in my 20s, as I went on the roof as a 6'2", my Saturn return, I joined a spiritual community and followed a guru for 25 years. So the spiritual aspiration became predominant in my life, and I was super devoted. Like I was 100%. People used to call me Hanuman, or, you know, all these different characters, because I was so one-pointed in my aspiration. And I was also very close to the guru very quickly. You know, as a kid, I was always the teacher's pet. You know, I was always the person who was like right up there.
You've got the charm.
Yeah. Right. But a lot of it came from that's like that aspiration, because part of the 54 is climbing that social ladder, you know, and also like being with the right people who are going to give you a leg up, which I've definitely experienced my whole life. I've known so many people who later became famous. So many, like that were my roommates in college, or my friends in, you know, high school, and all these different things. It's just a very odd thing that I've always noticed, that my what's the word? Like when you're close to somebody, I was always getting close to people who were ascending in some way, and then did, you know, quite a bit. And yet it wasn't happening for me, except in my small circles, like where I would be. Then I was always famous. And I was always used as an example by my guru for different things. And but he was always putting me down as well. So not letting me have an ego, kind of. It turned out, I think a lot of it was he was also jealous of me. He was in competition with me. So,
that's what I'm hearing, is greed. Like, I want to be guru, and nobody can ascend me.
Very much so. He definitely like lifted you up only to a point, and then he would like smash you down if you were going to maybe graduate or move on and do your own thing.
Right.
So, well, I guess that's my opening.
Yeah, wow. What I'm hearing is exactly that sixth line, kind of always, you know, the observing, and then being drawn, because you're observing, you're being drawn to those people that almost, well, I don't know if they have the 54, but you saw it in them, sort of, and then seeing the opportunity for you to, yeah, or maybe even because it's fuel, it ignited you to go follow that path, and maybe take them as an example of what you felt inside, that you could do the same, or that it was your path, or something about it drove you to those people, and moved you in those worlds, even the, you know, maybe, I don't know if it's the right word, but I'm just going to say the superficial Hollywood world, and then, but also the other side, the spiritual world. But what I'm also hearing is, in both worlds, there can be greed. Because when I hear you talk about your guru, and you also shared a bit in the 53, you know, how he treated you at some point, and what he was really all about, I'm hearing you witnessing the flaws in it, in the climbing the ladder, the social ladder, the way we look up to people, because I feel that most of us might look up to people that maybe have that 54, or in any case, it's, yeah, we look up to people that have climbed that ladder, and we don't see the downfall or the pitfall or the shadow of it. Like you said, in Hollywood, it's a lot of, I need to be better than this actor, and I need to have a bigger car because then it gives me more status and this and that. And
Right.
I don't know how it is in the spiritual communities. When I've read stories about it that some of them say they don't want any money or material stuff, but somewhere they have in this closet, they have all these things and they meet with
Totally.
others, you know.
Yeah.
So it's also flawed. So yeah.
So true. And I was like, it's just been this kind of awareness and kind of struggle most of my life with this, because there was a desire to be famous as an actor, as a performer. And it's still in there in my DNA. I can feel it. Like there's a thing of like, oh, maybe this thing that I'm doing now is going to be my big break. Like I'm 63 and I'm still thinking that way. Like it's in there. So I just, more witness it and get to go into a deeper thing. So for me now, what the aspiration is, because I'm no longer trying to become enlightened and I'm no longer trying to become famous, it's more like my aspiration is to be myself.
I think that's a really good thing. Yeah.
That's really it. And what's interesting is that the more I am just myself, the more I'm recognized and the more I have opportunities to do the kind of work I really love doing and really want to do that matches my design. So
yeah, what I just heard Richard say is also, it is the path going inside yourself and finding what is it that makes me feel that lack, what is that void inside of me. And when you find yourself inside yourself, like you just shared, when you accept who you are, and not only accept because it even sounds negative, but when you find a gem inside of you, that light and the love that you are, then you don't need anything from the outside anymore. Then that's all just a gift, so to speak, because you already have yourself, your whole self. It almost feels. Yeah. Do you feel when you have witnessed both worlds and you saw their flaws and you saw their patterns and you observed them and you even tasted of it and tried it, and I always feel there's some balance, in each of these archetypes. And when we think of aspiration and then ascension and being human, maybe I'm now making it a bit complicated. I'm trying to explain what I feel.
Okay, good. I get it.
You get it? Okay, perfect.
I'm following you. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel when there's this balance between, enjoying the material, enjoying the beauty that life can give, all the stuff that we can make, and looking at it and go like, wow, I just want to have it, but also knowing that you don't need it. And this middle path, how does that feel for you? How did you go from wanting and needing to being yourself and feeling fulfilled with yourself, and then also driving the BMW now,
Right. I know.
Gotta throw it in.
Exactly. No, it's so true that accepting the gifts as they come, without this kind of hankering or needing something, but being in enjoyment, like you said, like enjoyment of the riches that we have. No longer in denial, but no longer scrounging for anything either. It's just so light and so lovely. I find myself in various stages of prosperity and abundance, because that's so multifaceted. It's that idea, like the idea that we have to be wealthy or have money in the bank has never really made sense to me. That was never, but I would fall into the conditioning of it. And mostly what it would just produce is anxiety, one way or the other. Either when I didn't have it, more likely, or when I did have it, I would also anxiety about what to do with it and how am I going to do it right, and how can I, what's the right way to spend it, or should I save it, or all this anxiety. And then I would usually just end up just spending it all because
money has to flow.
It does. It really does. And so for me, I also have a lot of things in my design about economies and money, and there's all kinds of little pieces, which I've always been like, what? I'm horrible with money. Why is that in there? But then I realized, no, I just do it my own way, and most of the time, it works really well for me. I can even be like at almost zero in my bank account, and somebody offers me, oh, you want to come take this workshop, and it's $450, and I'm like, well, I don't have any money, and then I'll like put on a coat that has $450 in the pocket. Like that's the kind of thing that happens to me, and I've learned how to trust it more, that if it's something for me, that I have it, that I have what's needed for it.
Yeah, you kind of detached from the money being a need to live a fulfilled life. And when you can let it go, you're also open to receive it. And when you're in balance with that, it comes and goes and it flows. And yeah.
Yeah, and it's flowing.
Yeah.
It's been interesting.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No.
I was going to say, it's just been interestingly flowing more during times of what seemed like strife, for a lot of people during this reset that we're having.
Yeah, and what I wanted to mention was what I was hearing also just a little bit before this part was that the word not selling yourself out came to me. And now I can relate it back to when the moment was when I got this, but it almost feels like related to money when you no longer sell yourself out to get up that ladder.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just suddenly seeing pictures, and it starts flowing. I'm just seeing this flow of when you're not selling yourself out, you are climbing that ladder in the way that aspiration and ascension is meant to be. That's just what came to me. I don't know if it makes sense, but
right. It's like I'm being lifted up the ladder, or pulled up the ladder. It's not me having to like. Yeah. And what's so interesting is there's such a piece of one of the most important things about that is like who you meet that helps you bring up the ladder, which I've always had that experience. But the other piece is who you bring up the ladder with you. Because it's a real, and that's one of my favorite parts of this particular archetype, is that it's also very philanthropic. It's somebody who attains in whatever way, materially or spiritually or both, ideally both, I guess, on some level, and the weaving of those two. And when what happens naturally is I have a real gift for finding people's talents. Like it's probably my greatest gift, I think, as a human being, is recognizing talent in people and coaxing them toward it and helping them find it, find that gift. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I love more than anything. And when I'm focused on that, more comes. So it's this interesting
dynamic
cycle.
Yeah.
It's a full cycle, which I really love.
Yeah.
And it's been so great to realize it this year maybe, or last year was the first time I really saw that, and it made complete sense to me. I was like, oh yes, this is what's so fulfilling about this
Seeing
archetype.
other people's gems and polishing them together with them. And I also feel there's a win-win in that, because you feel that, well, it's not maybe even filling that void. It's the love that we are love beings, I always say. And when we can give that love to the other, to shine that light on them, that they can see their own light, and you bring them up that ladder and lifting them up, it also brings you, I'm sorry, I just seeing pictures today. I don't know what it is. But
Yeah, I love that. I'm kind of seeing them with you. Like I'm getting some like visual, beautiful pictures.
it's like even you're sitting there in the sunlight, and I see this whole sort of aura around you, and I go, like, this is exactly what the 54 is, the ascension. It's that light, that even kind of a halo of giving that love and climbing that ladder together, because together we thrive. If you feel good and want to do good because you feel you have enough and you feel fulfilled, you are able to overflow. And when you touch other people with that light, the only thing that can happen is that other people will start overflowing as well, because they feel so good inside about themselves, because you have helped them polish their gems. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the greatest gift I can receive, and it's such a lovely thing.
Did you experience it yourself when you were younger, and you said you had all these opportunities, to act and to do all these beautiful things and meet these amazing people? Do you think that they recognize that 54 inside of you, of that talent? And
oh yeah, I mean, I would go in like, I don't know how these things happened. Yeah, I would go in, and I did a movie when I was 14. We moved to California, and like you keep mentioning the Hollywood, and of course I lived in Hollywood the most part of my life, and it was very much part of that whole scene, superficial and deep. And that's where I met the guru, and all that stuff happened in Hollywood. But when I was like 14, I was cast in a movie with major stars and playing, a mafia kid. It's funny. And like I had suits made for me in Beverly Hills, and like they did this whole thing. And I was so I was just a kid, that's the way I felt. But everybody loved me. I mean, they just were like, everyone was quite enthralled with me.
What did it do to you? Did it make you arrogant or some way, or just curious?
No, it did. It felt fake. Like the way, also the experience of making the film, it wasn't very good. It didn't do well. But I quit. I quit after that. I walked, I didn't like the way the director treated me. He treated me like I was a child. And of course I was the sixth line. So I seemed like I was like 9 years old physically, but I was 14 and more like a 20-year-old. So I resented being condescended to and patronized by people. And when I told my father, I was like, I'm out of here. I don't want to do this anymore. This is horrible. He said, okay. Like he didn't, later on, I get angry about that. I was like, why didn't you just say, there's going to be other experiences and they're going to be better. It's not all like this.
But that was his experience, maybe, that it didn't get better.
I think so. Yeah. And he was also, I don't know. He also was pushed by his parents, and my mother was too. And so they were very hands-off. Like they just like, you just do your own 6-line thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Trial and error. And but it's interesting. Like, yeah, people did see my gifts and help me up. And at times, although there were other times where it was very frustrating, where I felt like I wasn't seen. And that's been a recurring theme where I've been like in it, and it may be like I have a totally open G center, and so sometimes if I'm in the wrong place,
Yeah.
as they say, then I'm with the wrong people and they don't see me, and I'm not in the right fractal, and it's just like, yeah, it can be really painful and weird and difficult.
Yeah. And what did you do when you saw that they didn't see you and didn't recognize your talent at that moment? What was going on inside of you? What were you thinking? Did you want to do anything about it because you wanted to climb that ladder, maybe unconsciously, or?
I think so, but I was also, for some reason, like pushing it away. For whatever reason, I'm not sure, but I was definitely pushing away various times. I pushed away the possibility of success. Maybe because I saw the superficiality, because I did, and I didn't like it, and people didn't seem happy, so it didn't seem like the right. And I had other things that I was interested in too, that I wanted to do, like sex, which was turned into a big theme in my life with all of my root energy.
Yeah.
I've kind of been obsessed with that subject for my whole life. So
okay.
Now I'm incorporating it all together.
Doing sex movies. Sorry.
No, I'm working right now on the thing that got canceled was I'm doing a one-person show that I've written about sex work and about the history of prostitution in musical theater.
Oh, wow.
Mixing the two with a historical history of prostitution and what it is to like sell your body and sell love and what are you selling. I kind of break it all down. I have a lot of history on different sides of that spectrum. And again, it's very much, the marrying maiden is the archetype.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like,
yeah,
whoa, this is so part of this story.
Yeah, because it's like the courtesan who makes her way up in the court by becoming the most educated woman in the palace, in the court. And she's the only one who can do that and get away with it. And then the king or the other courtiers have her around because she's somebody who's so brilliant, and she brings the wisdom and the beauty and the sexuality and all of it together. Yes. So anyway, there's a lot of different avenues that I go down with this play, but I was supposed to do it at the end of this month, and it got postponed maybe until end of March, which is really good because I have more time to work on it.
Right, it was meant to be. I always feel like things are meant to be. When it doesn't follow through, it will be at some other point where it's not the right thing or not the right time. But it is a very interesting subject. And I was thinking about the series that I watched, like Marco Polo and all that kind of old stuff. I love that.
Yeah.
And what you see then with those, these courtesans, and then being the leading lady, and how the other girls look up to her, but also want to be like her and want to throw her off the throne, and how the manipulating thing goes on. And I also feel the 54 in that, because when you want to climb up the ladder and there's somebody there, you're just going to go like pull that one down and you can go. Right.
If you're in the greed shadow, you're going to want what they have. That's part of it, is like there's never enough is the greed thing. So I think I also in my awareness, I've had a lot of past lives as royalty or as people at the, that kind of a thing. I think that must be why, like always in plays, I would be cast in these characters, the king and the leader of these things as a child. So weird. And I think that I came into this life going, ooh, I don't want to get close to that in real life because of the greed and the competition. And I always ran away from competition when I was a kid. I always was like avoiding it and didn't like it, didn't like the feelings, didn't even like the feeling of winning. Like it always was. Now I kind of enjoy it. It's a different thing because I feel detached and I can really get into playing a game and getting myself fully into it. And, but yeah, it's that whole hierarchical stuff, it's so weird in our history of the world, how hierarchies work. And so it's interesting to carry it. Carry hierarchy in my design.
I find it so beautiful to hear, even about those past lives, and now having that sixth line and observing it in your world again to remind you in this life about those lives and what you are here to change. And then you brought in the hierarchy, and I also feel together we thrive, even though I don't have the 54. I have it with other keys. It also, the 45 is my radiance, and I also have it in my south and north node. So yeah, I feel that together.
I have the 45 too.
Yeah. So you know what I feel, what I mean. And yeah, when I'm hearing you and being so aware of it, and I hear that sixth line, really wants to change that by seeing it, observing it, and then, pulling other people in that want to co-create in a way that you, see the talent and you push them upwards, and they will always remind you as well. So someday they will give it back right away, or someday somewhere else, something will come back to you. And then I see this, that the togetherness going on this ascension, changing, the higher call system that it is now still. But I feel it's falling, but.
Yeah. It's really, this is really interesting. And this points to something that's happened to me a couple of times in the last year or two, which is, this is a theme actually. So there's this theme where I am in kind of a leadership position, but other people are above me on some level, and I don't get the credit for the work I do. And so now, in the last few years, I start asking for it. And I get a ton of pushback. Like, they think I'm trying to steal something from them, or they try to, I'm trying to get more than I deserve, or really intense. And I've been super reactive to it. And it really spins me out. This last year, at Halloween, we did a haunted house at my house. It was like a 3-day, 2-night, day and night event at our house. We had all these different stations. It was a big theatrical thing. That was my idea, and I put it forward. And then a friend of mine who's a producer of haunted houses jumped on, and we were all doing it together. And it was amazing. It was very successful, hugely successful. And then there were some moments afterwards where I felt like I wasn't getting the credit for conceiving it. I have that first line, the screenwriter in my vocation, I guess. Is that what it's called? Yeah. So I'm the one who starts the thing and gets the idea going and everything. But I got really into this thing where I wanted the credit, and I felt like I was being, again, this theme. And I think it must have to do with the 54. I'm not sure where it is that this shadow, but it felt like a little greed. It felt like a little bit of greediness. Even though I was really, and some people would be like, no, you need to get that credit. Of course you do. But there's something in me that feels like it's greedy. There's something.
I feel their greed again. I feel you being reminded again of those people that are still having that lack feeling, that not the awareness that we do it together, because everybody holds a little part in every creation, everything that we set out and manifest. It's not just one person that does it all. Everybody has their little parts. But when you're afraid of not being seen as the big boss in the shadow side, again, it's like this person or these persons that didn't want to give you that credit are, you know, for their feeling more up the ladder, and they go, you know, with their feet going stamping on your head, like, who are you, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah,
you
that's
go,
what
yeah,
it felt like.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And maybe it's something in it, again, to work with. What I'm sensing is, you mentioned with the right people, and being with the right people and being in the right environment. And maybe, well, a question comes up for me is maybe something to think about. Were these the right people to co-create with, or will you do it again in the future when they have something they want to co-create with you?
Yeah. Well, and I think there's both of those are true in different, a couple of them, a couple of those experiences, I decided not to work with those people again. With this haunted house thing, I would like to work with him again. I think it will work. And I think that the communication will be clearer, and, you know, it's a different kind of a situation. But yeah, this, right now, the project I'm working on right now, I mean, I'm in a leadership position doing it. I'm writing it, I'm doing, so it's all very clear. And the people that I'm working with are all very supportive and super, you know, and I'm also working with someone who's a writer, and I've been really going out of my way to make sure she gets the credit for what she's doing. And she's so appreciative, you know, so it feels like a different,
Yeah.
I feel like as I've moved through this material, I'm getting more adept at it, I guess, or more.
Yeah. I'm hearing the role model now of the 6th line, you being the role model because you were not given the credits. You know how important it is to give the credits to those who deserve it.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the little reminder to give the credits to this person writing for you.
It's true.
Don't forget.
It's true. No, it feels like there's some, yeah, even if things happen like that, sometimes humility is one of the things, you know, that has to be re-engendered by these experiences.
Yeah, that's the city of the 31st, Jinky. I don't know if you have that one, the one of leadership. I have that one in my vocation.
Is that in the throat, the 31st? Yeah, I have that too. Yeah.
Oh, that's why. That's why then. And that's why the humility comes in. And that's, I find it a little bit of a struggle. Like you said, you want to get the recognition because you took the lead and you took the responsibility and you took the chances. And but the humility is, again, maybe the reminder that we all do it together.
Again, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But
yeah, not having to be the one, not having to be the leader or the stronger. Yeah. And with the 45 as well. And yeah, I know.
I see that connection. You know, life is so beautiful that when you think you've got it, then it gives you another invite to, do you really get it?
Right.
And then something happens, you go like, you know, maybe sometimes you're like, no. And then you go,
I know.
Okay,
yeah.
it's the reminder, okay, I didn't really get it, but now I get it until the next time. And that's the fine tuning. And it also feels, that's part of that 54 of the ascension. I feel it's the fine tuning of everything on the material plane. It's the fine tuning of the value of things and the enjoyment of things. And I don't know, I just hear that word, valuing life, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's interesting because I have the 50 in a couple of different places as well, including my nodes, both nodes, both sides, which is the gate of values, right? So it's all about, everything is that I'm seeing is all about values, and, you know.
And what is true?
And then I have the power view as well.
The power view?
In my, you know, the PHS kind of, you know, that level of the where you have the view and the motivation and all those things.
Yeah, I never heard of the power view. So
yeah, it's an interesting thing. So there's one of the things in the colors and tones of human design is the views, and the power view is just you're watching everything through the lens of power.
wow.
So all the things you're watching in the movie of your life are have to do with power. So I'm always like watching, and I mean I can see it, like power dynamics seems to be what life is about for me.
Yeah, interesting, because that brings up for me the conversation I had with my dad when I was 6 years old, and I said, Daddy, I know what's the most important thing in life is, what everybody wants and needs. What's that, little princess? And I said, it's love. Everybody wants love, everybody needs love. And he said, sorry, doll. it's like it's the power and money. He said power and money. He's a manifestor.
Wow. yeah, and maybe he has the power view too. You know, it could very well be. That's interesting.
He has the channel of the alpha, and being in leadership stuff, and so I recognize it now. But I find it so beautiful that you just brought it in. That your PHS says you're attuned to, or you're here to observe the power and maybe the power struggle and why people even use power. And what is the power really about?
Yeah, and that's what it comes to actually draw. You know, we all, power is energy. So it's that thing of is it power over or is it power with, or power for?
Yeah. Like so, empowerment. Yeah.
Empowerment, exactly. Like and that's been a huge theme in my life as well, as I've done a lot of work to empower myself as well as to empower others.
Right.
A lot of the work I did for many, many years was really empowerment work. That kind of helping people rise out of the victim state. And that's always a thing. That's always a theme of mine too, with that. I have the 55 too, so.
Freedom, liberation, yeah. And I have the 39, to provoke. And it's my only split that I have is with the 55. And when I have that, I have the whole going upwards thing.
Oh, wow. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so I tracked a lot of people with the 55. That's so funny.
That's
cool. Something I'm never gonna get because it's not my design.
Right.
But I'm attracted to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also when you just shared about that liberation and empowerment of people, it's also like I'm seeing you standing up that ladder and not wanting to climb it alone, and then reaching out with your hand and helping everybody along. And it feels like that empowers yourself, because again, that's the frequency of love, and the frequency of love is the real power.
Yeah. It's so funny when you talk about love, because I'm just like, okay, because with that totally open G center.
I know, I have an open too.
Oh, you do? Yeah, it's like
246 in it.
Like, I don't understand what love is, and I have the full experience of all the different aspects. When I'm with whoever I'm with, I'm experiencing their and amplifying their experience of love. But as a concept, like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
But isn't that beautiful? Because I feel the unconditional love with that, because at least I have an open G as well. I have the 2 and the 46, but it's both unconscious, but it's open. So for me, it goes through this tube and this vision of or perceiving. I get a taste of it, and you have it totally open, and then I feel that you can experience all the love on the material plane, like the flat love, maybe. I don't know how else to call it, but the real unconditional love is the source itself. It's the love that it's unexplainable. It's without words.
Yeah, very much so. And it's something that flows through me, like,
right,
all the time. Yeah.
That's another topic. I just got, my mind goes like, oh, we can have a whole conversation about this and a whole conversation.
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I have to
Absolutely.
bring it back. You know, that's why I love talking to you. Yeah, I think so many things to talk about and to share experiences with, and beautiful. So I will look at my page if I can find something new. Well, what I also wanted to bring it a little bit back in the material stuff, because that's the frequency we most start on, and we are here in this reality on the material plane. And when you were in the community call and sharing about your beautiful convertible and BMW. Yeah, BMW. I didn't want to say name beep. Yeah, and then I just spontaneously reacted because I was kind of finally feeling this openness to share that I now at this age finally have this amazing car as well. And then afterwards, I'm going to be honest, I felt guilty of, you know, I'm just blurted that out, and there must be people that don't have that money. And then I started, you know, having this little seed, and I started contemplating that, you know, we talked about the spiritual world and we talked about Hollywood, you know, these two polarities kind of feel for me. And in the spiritual world, everything about materialism is kind of, you know, that's dirty. And when we talk about this greed and aspiration and together we thrive, it's when I have enough, when I live in abundance, like you, I feel I have so much more to offer. And I also have been in you know, years and years like you, not having any money, and also knowing how that feels if you have to, you know, almost at the end of the month, you're going to say, I don't have any money anymore for food and for my child. I was with my daughter alone for 8 years. And then luckily some work, I was a makeup artist for 25 years.
Oh wow. Oh, that makes sense.
That explains a lot, right?
You always look so beautiful.
That never goes
like
away.
An art.
Right.
You look like art. It's art always happening on your face.
That's my 26. That's my 26. I feel the artfulness is everywhere. But I will go in that in another.
No, I know. I have the 26 as well. It's my only ego gate.
I see myself as a canvas that I can dress up every day the way I like.
Me too.
First it was a mask, but now it really is the creation of me every day, and I have so much fun in it. So but that's a whole nother topic.
I love it. No, it's so good. I love that.
But when we talk about, you know, that materialism, and then now having all these beautiful stuff around me. I have this beautiful office and I drive a beautiful car. I have a loving husband, but all the times that I did not have it, but then feeling guilty when sharing that you are living in such an abundance, and then feeling guilty about it, I was like, what is that? You know, why do we love money? I always have this hate and love frequency going on inside.
Oh, I know.
You too?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like, I mean, even from being a kid, it always was like that, like rejecting things that were extremely fancy or wealthy. I remember, you know, as a kid in New York, living on a street where there were transient hotels, is what they called them, and they were like flop houses, you know, where there was a lot of like hookers and drug addicts and people just down on their luck and everything, and a lot of people of color as well, Puerto Rican families, and all huddled into their thing. And then like 4 blocks away, and then we all went to the same school together, were all these rich, wealthy people who lived on West End Avenue, and they were like, you know, like chemists, professors at Juilliard, and, you know, like they were performing at Carnegie Hall, like they were all, and they were super well, like you go into their houses, apartments, they were huge. So I was always going back and forth between these people, and I was like, what's wrong with this? Like, why is it, you know, I thought it was, I just noticed the imbalance a lot. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I also enjoyed both of them. Like I enjoyed going to my rich friends' places and they would be playing the piano. That was very luxurious, you know, and wonderful light coming in the windows. Like I have very, very visual person. So, and then going back to the Puerto Rican, and there are all these wonderful foods and smells, and like, you know, they're all people all together, all tight and cozy and loving. And so I could see the two extremes and enjoy them both. But I also felt guilty. There was always this little guilty feeling about me, I guess. I don't know, like my place in it, like it didn't. So I understand that. Like I've always had this kind of spiritual kind of like idea of that, of yeah, it was just hard to make sense of it. And I remember like reading, I used to read a lot of books, and I would read about mythology and the past, you know, and you read all these archetypal stories about wealth, like King Midas, and I don't know, just different.
Yeah. Well, maybe you've noticed the same thing then as me, that when we read about those old kings and archetypes and even other history books and all the deities, and it's always that struggle of possession of the material on the material plane, and wanting to have more and wanting to have control over it. And I feel even with that 454 in its shadow, and what we already discussed is the control and the power over people when you have this big luxury,
right,
amazing stuff, and then they have
the misuse of power, abuse of power. Yeah.
I think that can happen with the 54 in its shadow frequency.
Yeah, I think so too.
Witnessed it.
Yeah, and I also probably felt it myself. You know, some, like I said, the reminders of, you know, these past lives as like kings and slave owners, and, you know, people in different places of power and misuse of it. And I'm always fascinated by it. I always love watching, you know, I'm watching like Catherine the Great thing right now, you know, and I love watching all that stuff. And
me too.
Seeing how people make their way through that. But I always want, like, so I have this friend who I was at a party not long ago, and he just started calling me this name, and we were under the influence a little bit. So we were like kind of doing a bunch of crazy stuff, but he started calling me luxure. And doing this like big theatrical like thing when he would say it. And I really was like, oh, that's so horrible. Like there's a part of me. And then I really took it on through the evening, and I started like wearing it and going, that's really a part of who I am. Like I am a royal being, and it's okay for me to really embody that part of myself, because I'm also a humble peasant, you know, I can be that person too. Right. But it's all in there, and I can really allow myself to play in that. And that's where, like with my new car, I'm like, wow, that's interesting that came up. That name came up for me before I got this car. And now it's important for me to somehow balance and understand and embody luxury. And I have this whole idea, I want to make this music video where I'm like, me and other people are indulging in luxury of all different kinds. And I was like, there's so many different kinds of what I call luxury and abundance. So one of them, I'm thinking, you know, okay, we're in this amazing gold and everything's all beautiful and diamonds, you know, the whole traditional luxury of that. And then the next scene in the video is us like wallowing in mud. And I don't know if you've ever been like in a mud bath, or, you know, like just covered with mud. And
delicious.
It's so delicious.
To be so dirty and to
exactly
feel the earth and just It's also abundance.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
So abundant.
I love it.
And it's luxurious, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, there are places where people pay like a lot of money to go and get mud baths.
Healthy for you as well. So
yeah, it's super good. And so anyway, there's a whole bunch of different like visuals that I have been working with to like make this music video and make a song called Luxure and have myself like embodying this luxury experience. So I don't know, that's been a wild.
Yeah, well, I was watching with you in that video clip. I was seeing that you started in this what we call old school luxury, and like the diamonds and the gold and everything, and then changing the scene to the other luxury of what the earth is giving us, the beautiful fruits and the beautiful trees and the beautiful people around us.
I have one where we're like rubbing mangoes and papayas all over.
Right. Yeah. But it's beautiful because you show that luxury is everywhere if your eyes are open to see it.
Yeah.
And maybe that is ascension. It's happening to that whole world, that you invite everything.
Yeah. And I have also the superabundance city in my class as well.
Yeah, you have the energy expansion in the 53 again. So also, you know, it's it all comes together. You are made for this. Of course. You just have to embody it. You're doing it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But when you think in an old way of ascension, and first in the old way, what we think of ascension is it's that, you know, becoming enlightened and then like go, you know, then you become this light being. But with all your knowing and all the experiences of your life and what you just shared, when you think of the word ascension, what comes up for you? What do you feel inside? What do you see?
So partly it's like what you just said, you know, this kind of like ascension into the cosmos, you know, just becoming one with the creator or the creation, or and I've had a lot of experiences like that. I practiced meditation so deeply, like for 25 years. And there was a lot of experiences that I had that you would call ascended experiences. And then I came back, you know, back to earth. And then, and later in the last years, I've been more involved in integration. So integrating those experiences into this body and into this present life. So it's not so much about attaining to something, but it's more about kind of a holographic merging with my nature. And so when I think of ascension now, it doesn't feel hierarchical so much as it feels more expansion. And expansion and integration, those are the two words that keep coming up. I experience so many different ways of kind of what you call enlightenment. So I love in human design, they talk about the kind of theme that you're attaining to, and for the generator, it's satisfaction. So I have these amazing moments where I'm in alignment, you know, with desire, creation, attraction, and, you know, response, really listening to, and responding through my sacral and then through my solar plexus, waiting. And I'll just have these moments where the satisfaction is so amazing. And it might be eating a steak, or it might be watching some art, watching a film or seeing a piece of art, or me in movement and dance, as I go into really ecstatic states there. And when the moment is just everything just lining up, you know, it's just such and it satisfaction is real. You know, they always talk about, the Buddhists always talk about, you know, desire is the essence of, or is the source of all suffering, because you can never be satisfied. But if when I'm in alignment, when I'm in the Tao, when I'm in the satisfaction is amazing, and it keeps going. It's not fleeting. It's like, it just keeps going, and I just can melt into it. And it feels like that's like ascension in a way, even though it's more like this than it is like this.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had many moments in this life where I have said to myself, I could die right now and I'd be complete. And then not. And then, wait, no, I have way more to experience.
There's so much more, yeah.
There's so much more. And the possibilities are endless. And
your aspiration kicks in and goes like, there's so much more.
That's true. That is true. It's very much aspiration. And I have, like, even when I was a kid, I always thought I would live to at least 100 years old. And so many of my friends were like, I'm dying before I'm 30, you know. But I never had that romantic thing. I've always, like, seen it coming to some kind of pinnacle of just total satisfaction, and then maybe sitting out in the middle of the desert and just kind of falling asleep, you know. Yeah, I think a lot of the aspiration and the ascension for me has been both, you know, on these tracks of the material and the spiritual, and how can I integrate this? Like, that's really, in the last years, it feels like it's really important for me to integrate that. Really important for me to follow, because there's some fear of really attaining.
Please share.
If I think about this, two things. One, this is like emotional for me all of a sudden. There's a fear of attaining material wealth and material abundance and really getting to the top. That it's going to be what it was before, probably in other lifetimes, which is horrible, painful, disappointing. Where I'll feel betrayed by myself in some way, selling out, like you said, different feelings that feel horrible. The spiritual ascension feels like there's a little bit of panic of me dissolving. And also with that, there's kind of a fear that I'll go too early before I'm done. You know, because, and that, I think, you know, there is that aspiration to be complete, to be, you know, I aspire to really, and that might be part of the sixth line too, like, this is it. This is my last time of this particular cycle, you know. So I feel like I want to get it right, or want to get it, you know, be complete in it, you know, something like that. So yeah, that's interesting that there's some panic involved in the idea of actually reaching the heights, the possible.
Yeah, I feel you and I resonate. And maybe that's, I'm a 4/6, so maybe that is the sixth line, because what I'm hearing is also that desire or that wish to fulfill your cross. What are you here to do? And are you doing it right? And you want to get it right, and then, because when I hear that when you became in your Chiron, that you really became in that cross, that you are doing your incarnation cross. So for me, going to my Chiron goes like, yeah, it can happen, But then when you're doing that, I also feel that fear that when I think about ascension, or in my case, it's the transfiguration, my 47 is my life's work. And then, the 22, my evolution. So when I think about, okay, what is transmutation, what is transfiguration, and the alchemy of it, and then seeing this light body, going in this transic state, I have the 952 as well. So when I think about that, I see that channel, and it's the only channel I have next to the 3536. So I go like, okay, and I also have mountains in my PHS. So I see myself sitting on this mountain and then just breathing and soaking in the beauty of the earth, and then transmute or transfigurate. But when I think about it, I feel such aliveness still in me, like, yeah, but it's so cool to be here and to do all this stuff and to meet all those people and share all these beautiful stories and the things that I do. And I just love life. So I feel the fear of detachment, or detachment of the body, letting it go, the beauty of what life is. So I sense you when you share that.
Yeah. It's interesting too that this is in my evolution. So can you tell me a little bit about what that particular placement means to you in terms of
well, they
the evolution
say it like is this biggest challenge of like when in my case the 47 is my life's work. So, and then the grace being the evolution is seeing the grace of the suffering that the 47 also goes through, the mental things and the ideas and the conditioning, and then seeing the grace of the beauty of the suffering and what suffering is really all about. And when you go through that, you go through your whole activation sequence. And how can I explain the evolution? I feel it's something to bring down to earth, because it's also an earth sign. It's in your conscious earth. Conscious side is the mental plane. It's the spiritual plane. It's what the spirit wants to experience by following the body, just being the passenger. So when I think about it, for me, the evolution is seeing the beauty that the earth is giving, that life experience is giving, without any judgment, because the sixth line has the judgment in it. And when you go beyond that judgment, you just see the beauty of all that is, and there is no good and there is no bad. Yeah, but I'm sorry, I'm not in tune now right into when I go with clients, I really go in, I just connect on a different level. So I'm in the chart and everything. So I can't explain it for you right now, what the evolution for you means, and then having the 54 over there, but maybe.
No, I think the way that you explained it was really well. I get that. And I have done a fair amount of contemplation on this, on the whole cross. But it's just, you forget. So I wanted to be, and that feels right. It's just interesting to see I like to look at it from a different point of view.
Yeah, I'm just the same, because I need that reflection of the other in the I believe it's the Maya the Maya signs and stuff. I don't even know the word, the Toltec,
Oh yeah, Mayan, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the white mirror, and I have the white wizard. So the mirror is, I need the other's reflection and to give the reflection back. So when I talk to other people, they give me something about me. And like now, I can give you something about you by holding my reflection towards you. So,
yeah. I feel it. It feels like a really nice reflection. Thank you. I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Well, and I'm just looking at the clock. Again, I can talk to you, it's almost, well, it is already over the hour. It's like 10 past 5 for me.
Wow. Oh my God. Okay.
So, yeah, I almost don't want to end it again. And maybe you're going to be back for even other keys.
I would love to. Yeah, I would love to. Actually, yeah, the you mentioned something about the 49 coming up soon, and that's my vocation core wound. Yeah. So I have a lot to say about that one. No, if you wanted to.
No, but like you said, the reflection is beautiful. I just love talking to you. You are such an amazing person. You are so open and so light and with humor. And then even, humor in the seriousness, life is serious sometimes. But when you can look at with the lens of the humility and the grace, it becomes light. And then the ascension comes up again when we can bring everything towards that light. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is such a treat for me to be able to share it, and it comes back with me sharing often, and that's why I do what I do in the world. Me sharing benefits me so much, and then that helps to give clarity, and I get to reflect that to others, and it's a cycle.
Exactly. And I think that is the giving and receiving that we all are here to do with each other. That's unity. That's the oneness. Giving, receiving, the reflection. It's lost of
breathing in and out.
The breathing. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's the other piece, is that Richard talks about the 54 being having a lot to do with the breath, and that's certainly a big part of my life in so many different ways.
Do you practice any breathing techniques?
I do, like Qigong, which involves breath. I did many years of different kinds of meditations with breath, pranayama and all different kinds of things, and Kundalini breath and so many different things. And now mostly it's through singing, because I sing all the time, and it's one of my most important art forms that I love to do. And I'm reaching a place where I finally feel comfortable with my voice, and breath is what that's all about. So
breath is life. Without breath, there is no life. It's the first thing we do when we get out of our mother's womb. It's taking that first breath, like,
wow,
and when we leave, we take, we breathe out for the last time.
Yeah, and aspiration actually really means breathing in.
Breathing in.
Aspiration and expiration. That's what they, And then inspiration is somehow in there too. I don't remember which. Maybe that's, I don't know what one of them, but.
Well, what Richard said when I listened to the audio, it was that aspiration is beyond inspiration.
Ah, okay.
Don't know what that means, but.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's all part of it. I guess we have to have inspiration though too.
And what I'm sensing now is that the inspiration comes here, and the aspiration is the whole body. And when I hear you talk about singing, and me having a weekend with Nessie Gomez, and then I saw her singing, she sings with her whole body. And I feel that people, when they sing with their whole body,
yeah, it's starting to happen for me. It's starting to happen for me, because I'm a mover, and now I'm starting to let it flow through all the different cavities that the breath goes into, and sound and vibration, and it's all comes from love again. It's such a singing is such an emotional, powerful expression of love.
When a song is really sang with love and from the heart, it can make you cry. It can make you feel the emotion of what the song is really all about, even if it is another language, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
receive that frequency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're gonna do that clip, the luxurious song,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
singing it.
Yeah, I am.
You are.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see that.
Bonjour, bum 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 bum. That's the whole thing. I'm developing it.
Beautiful. Keep me posted. Keep me posted.
I will.
I want to thank you so much, Phillipe, for this conversation again. And I'm sure we're gonna meet again, and maybe for the 49 or anywhere else. But at least thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. You do such a beautiful job with this, and it's a pleasure to be in your presence.